So I finished Inktober, and I thought today I'd give you a sketchbook tour of what I did. If you are regular to this channel, you know that I normally have not been sharing my illustrations, but we had kind of gone down the rabbit's hole recently of doing a little bit of ink drawing or using inks in my work. So I thought, let me do a whole month of Inktober in a moleskin in one sketchbook. And I decided not to use a prompt list, which is normal for Inktober. But I did keep within a theme. I just decided, let me just do a theme of what I decided on being darkness. So I decided to utilize this dark abyss as a representation of that. And it started with this saying, darkness hides in corners and places where only your nightmares knows what exists there. Now, you might have seen, if you watched my video, I think it was last time or maybe the time before last, I've already shared some of this, but we'll finish the whole month, the 31 days now. So I also added follow me as we go into the tale or the theme. So I had a variation of ideas, and the kind of something that's been with me for a while. It's not my first time drawing UFOs, although some people were shocked to see I was doing UFOs, but I had incorporated UFOs into this concept. This girl with a hole in her heart shows up a lot in past illustrations, so I did that, and I really like the way that looked. And this girl who seems kind of depressed, she's just in the middle of a pond in the woods. But I have no real set story, so I can't tell you a tell. It's more of a feeling of woe or woefulness, or a gothic feeling, a feeling of darkness, really. I love cabins in the woods, so I did this. Although, and I mentioned this last time, these markers are not great. These are the Tombow markers, but these are all really sketches. With this being the smallest moleskin, they're quick sketches to me. Stuff that I could do within a day at least. I watched the movie The Conjuring, and so that's kind of being pulled in from that. And this girl being sitting in the midst of a bunch of weeds. I kind of messed it up a little bit. I'm going to have to go back and see if I can fix it, because I was trying to create some highlights. Then I had cows being abducted. So this also was something I was trying to do a night sky, and that didn't work out. And so I ended up adding a little bit of gouache to this one. But I like the idea. Then this girl with a hole in the ground. This guy almost did not stay in the book. So this is the ice cream man. And this is something I've thought about recently, because there's a ice cream cup. Because there's an ice cream truck that roams my neighborhood sometimes, but we have no children. So he kind of creeps me out. I don't know what he looks like, so this is not a depiction of him, but it's the idea of a predator. And here he is eating an ice cream, waiting inside his house as it snows outside. He's waiting for summer to come. And he almost, like I said, almost did not have permission to stay when he first got sketched out. Then more UFOs, just the look of woe, people being afraid. Then here is a girl who looks so very innocent and pretty, but yet she's actually a monster inside. I know a few people in my past have been like that. I bet you have too. I actually had a dream about 3 tornadoes, and that's how this came about. Of course, I had to add in some flying cows, and that's because I've done something like that before with UFOs. I like flying cows and UFOs. I think it was kind of something that the movie Twister had implanted in my head. But I was a little not happy to share this the first time I shared this, because, we were having hurricanes and tornadoes at the time, and a lot of people have, gone through a lot this past few months. And I know everybody's heart goes out to them, but I still felt compelled to represent this as a part of the devastation and, like I said, the mayhem that was going on in this town. Then here is a further depiction of the ice cream man. It actually is quite detailed, so I'll pull it in a little bit for you. You'll see he's out there in his truck now, doing drive-bys. And we got the little kid hiding behind the tree. I do love the way that these pine trees ended up. The way that the shading, the value shift right here changed, it reminded me of old Japanese wood blocks. So I was actually quite pleased. I'm very knowledgeable or familiar with the way longleaf pines look, and that's how they look here. So that was from my imagination. Then these random trees. And I wasn't sure if everybody would know what this is. So here is a UFO that's kind of landing now. Well, now there's an entity that's coming out of the UFO. So that's what that little ink blob with his shadow underneath him is. Kind of an ominous thing as they are now out and about. Then people are wandering about. They're displaced. They're wandering through swamps with their families. So I've got that. I like this one a lot. This is probably one of my favorite ones, with the girl by the fence. I like the details of it and the trees and all the bushes. And you'll notice that I left the fence open. That's because, compositionally speaking, you want to be able to pull your viewer's eye into the painting. And obstacles can sometimes have them hindered. Even though my subject matter is mostly here, you still want them to be free to visually move their eye through a composition. And these were just more just girls wandering in the woods. It's often cold in these situations, so I kind of associate the cold and darkness, that sort of thing, depression maybe, with cold, even though I like the cold. And this girl is just out wandering around with a dilapidated oriental umbrella. Then more UFOs. Lady putting out her clothesline, and the little boy's pointing it out with his sucker in hand. Then here we are, this girl's outside this old rundown home with the broken windows and the weeds. She's just holding on to her pillow. And in this one, this started off something else. I had it sketched out to be something else, but then I didn't like it as it got more developed in the sketch, so I changed it up and I put my pup Sasha in there. Not that this is supposed to be me. It's just I wanted to put a dog in here, and so Sasha was the perfect model for that. She's no longer with us though, however. But it was a nice way to memorialize her. And the light is actually from a UFO that's, found them in the woods. And that's what the light beam is. You'll see how it's all darker back here. And the light is making everything the value so much lighter from the light source. And this one I thought turned out really well. This girl is hiding underneath a bridge with cattails, and the water's flowing around her. And then there's the open rails of the bridge up there. Then here's a girl entering, it looks like an old cabin in the woods. Someone actually told me that this reminded them of the book and the movie Where the Crawdad Sings. And I could kind of see that. You can see this house is run down and it's out in the woods. The trees are all grown up around it. The bushes and everything's kind of growing. Windows are torn out. Like I said, everything's going wrong in this town and it's not doing well. And this was just, I'm going to actually share with you a couple of other things that I did that kind of are similar to the ideas that are in this book. To show you that this is not the first time that I did this, but I did this for fun because I actually like octopus. I think they're kind of neat. And then I put in a bit of garbage where she's just like, out in the woods, she's hiding and she's somewhere near the ocean, I guess, and Cyprus, and there's an octopus. I don't know. It's just an image. I thought it was a bit of fun. Then here, I call this the embrace, actually. It may look a bit scary, but remember that entity that was getting off the UFO? Well, there he is, up close and personal and larger than life. And he's wrapping himself around her right here. Now, there is an image of an old master painting that I'm going to share with you here in a second after I show you this other, because they're both actually quite intertwined. You can see how this is the entity behind her. And I can't tell you why she has a black crow in her hands, but I just put it in. But there is a famous painting, I think it's Caravaggio, but it's Jupiter and Io, where Jupiter was known to get around with the ladies, but he was married. He was a god. And he would get in trouble when he was out and about. And so one of the ways that he would do what he wanted to do was change into other images. And the painting Jupiter and Io is really cool because it's like this huge black dark cloud, and the cloud is embracing this woman, and but when you look at the details of the cloud, you can see that there's a man in the cloud. It's a really cool painting, and I'd love to see it in person, but I just thought I'd share with you what that kind of looks like here. But I'm sure image on YouTube is not going to do it justice, but it looks like it would be an amazing painting to see in real person. So it's kind of inspired by this a little bit, and I wanted the entity to be kind of ominous. So again, more of the UFOs, and here we are at the park, the rundown park that's falling apart, and the teddy bear in the woods. There's actually I don't even know if there's any other painting or drawing in here that has no person, but this one has no person. This is a disconnected second page. Another woman just in the woods in the cold. The leaves are blowing. Another one similar, but this one is almost more illustrated looking because you can see how defined the lines are. They're less natural. They're more enhanced and thicker lines, so it looks a lot more purposefully illustrated. And then I have this guy just walking through the grasses. Another girl out in the middle of the woods in the dark with a fire and some crows. We're almost at the end here of my 31 days. And then I have this pipeline that has bursting out some sort of a liquid. I really like the way that ended up turning out, looking how it looks like it's really hitting the light right here. And this girl, although she looks a little strange, I feel her head looks a little strange, but I like her hair and stuff. So there's aspects I love about this and aspects I don't. But again, like I said earlier, these are really just quick sketches. And then for my last day, this is what I did. This girl out in the swamp, just wandering on a boat, searching for something. And then there's all these little fireflies floating around. So that's what I did for actual Inktober. Then I'll share with you, because I plan on, because you'll see how far I'm along. I'm a little over halfway maybe, but I want to finish out this book. But I'm probably going to finish it before I share any more. But just so you see again what my process is, if I have an idea, I'll sketch something out quickly in pencil. And then it starts getting erased and moved around and altered. If I like it, how it gets to this point, then I start doing more development so that the lines get a little bit more strong and I have a real more feeling for where I'm going with it. And or I will just erase the whole thing. And then it gets to this point where they're a lot more finished. I really like this one, this little girl hiding underneath the tree and all the vines. And now they're ready for being inked. So that's what I've been doing for this whole book. And so, like I said, there's more to come. Now I want to share with you some past work that inspired that book, so that you'll see that this didn't come out of just nowhere. So I've been doing UFOs in the past. The problem is when I've done them in graphite like these, they often don't photograph well for Instagram, although they probably don't look bad on here. And here's like just some post-it notes, sketches. Here's another cow abduction, quick scratchy sketch. Here's some UFOs in the background of a girl. This one's probably the one that's most developed, which I like the best. But the values were getting so close, I think that it made it even more difficult to actually get this thing to photograph well. So who knows, maybe one day I'll actually do this, I don't know, in pen and ink or something, and see if we can get this, or in watercolor maybe even, and get this to look better. Here's other ones that never got finished. Here's just an idea of one. UFOs on a waterfall. Yeah, I went through a whole UFO period there for a while. And so they got brought back for this book. And you'll see this one actually is what inspired the very first one in the book. That one. So you see the similarities. So then other little quick doodles, very similar in the style, but on loose random pieces of paper done at various different times. Stuff from my imagination that I just doodle. Girl on a railroad track. And you can't see it's a railroad track, but that's what it was sketched out to be. And this is because I took my dog Sasha one time on a hiking trail and there was a railroad track, and I took a picture over there and I thought, well, let me sketch this out. Here's a little boy in the woods with lightning bugs in a jar. I actually have done this, a larger version of this. This is called Monster, where she's up at the top of the stairs looking down at all the darkness. Kids looking down a well. I shared this over on Instagram. There's the girl with the hole in her heart again. Then this girl with the letter, but unfortunately a drop of water got in there after all my work. But I liked her because I liked all the values on the tone paper and the use of the white accents. I thought it really popped and looked interesting. And then I thought I'd share with you because of Inktober and just passing up Halloween recently. This is an old ink drawing that I did, and that turned out pretty well, I think. I love scarecrows, so that's another thing. During spooky season, you'll see me do a lot of pumpkins and scarecrows when I'm just doodling stuff from my imagination. So finally what I want to share with you is, after being in this small moleskin and loving it, I decided to get a slightly larger size and continue on doing this after I get done with this book. And I think I might do this again in another book this size. This is really easy to do, but I wanted to start doing it in this book as well. So I've even kind of like started off the book with this darkness thing. I kind of want to have this being like the way I introduce anything that's imagination or an ink and that sort of thing. And the moleskins are really nice for any kind of ink or pen and ink or that sort of thing. So that's what I did. But I also started doing a couple of sketches just in pencil. These are sketches from Andrew Wyeth. There's a tree of Andrew Wyeth's. And but I'm counteracting that with some stuff from my imagination. And I started off with this girl who actually has got a little bit of tone on her, but she's not finished yet. She's not really inked or anything. But I do like just playing with toning the paper a little bit. So it's something else I'll be working on in the future. Although I'm sure many of you prefer this kind of work, I think it's good to merge the two. And that's what we're going to talk about in the next video, integrating realism and imagination. But I'll share with you, this is the book I was using. So this is a pretty good book. Two Worlds of Andrew Wyeth, the Cuners and the Olsons. So you see here's the little bag that I was trying to draw. This was painted in 1959 in watercolor, but it's very large. It's 15 3/4 by 22 5/8. Not sure why it's such an unusual shape, but it is. And then I did this basket, which it's not exact, but that's from that. And then the portion of the tree that I was playing with is taken from here, although it's not very exact. I wasn't really trying to. I was just really sketching because I love trees and I think it's great to draw them. So, of course, you know, you can do no better than learn from the master, Andrew Wyeth. And actually, I'm going to be talking about that even more. I actually went to Pennsylvania a few years ago and got to visit the Brandywine Valley and the Cuner Farm and Andrew Wyeth's house and studio. Well, not his house, but his studio. The Wyeth family home I visited. So that's pretty much what I've been up to recently. Just spending a lot of time in this book this past month. And I hope that you found that helpful, inspiring to consider maybe doing your own little sketchbook of illustrations. I think it was really good keeping this in one place versus all those random pieces of paper. I felt like I got a lot further, and I felt like I really honed in on at least this illustration style that I have for quick sketches. And I think it improved by the act of doing it so often. But the next time I do any kind of inking, I actually got these Coptic markers that were actually a little bit more expensive than the Tombow markers, but I've heard that these are a lot better. These are just grayscale. Like I said, if you were with me the last time when we were talking about this, I don't really like hens that much. But I have enjoyed the grayscales. I mean, I might, if I loved something like this, I might get a small limited set so that I could pop in a little bit of color here and there. But I hate all the plastic, but we will see. You know, everything's about a journey when it comes to art. What you can live and what you can't live with, what really sings for you as you do your work. So I highly recommend taking time to doing both styles, you know, doing something that's realistic from life and then also playing with your imagination. See where it takes you, see how you can grow. I've been doing this for a very long time, so I don't want you to feel discouraged if you can't do this kind of imagination drawing. You don't think you can. Sometimes I don't even know where I'm starting. I don't even have an idea. Sometimes an idea will pop, and sometimes I'll just take my pencil and I'll just start scribbling, not really knowing what I want to do, and sometimes that will help and something will just come to me. Or just I'll see something within the scribbles and then I'll start working it out and see if I like it and go from there. So that's pretty much it. I hope today's video was helpful. If so, make sure you hit the like, subscribe, give me an emoji or a comment. Let's see if you made it this far. Let's just say that the final word of the day, if you're here at the end, is ink. So pop in the comment ink if you made it to the end. And I hope that you got something from this. If so, I'd like to know what you think. Have you ever tried illustrating yourself, doing anything from your imagination? And for me, that means even things like doodles. To me, that qualifies as well. So give me your thoughts on the content today. And let me know also if you'd like to see more of this, or if you like seeing the combination of the illustration with the more realistic style. And but what I'm showing on this channel is really just my growth, and I'm hoping it helps and inspires you and inspires me. All right, guys, I will see you next time. I hope that you have a wonderful, beautiful, blessed week ahead, and I wish you all well. Bye.